Nottinghead's Games aimed to put India on the video game development map with its debut title Raji, an Ancient Epic, which embodies Hindu art and culture in immersive, interactive form. If other games' approach is like a packaged main street designed to attract tourists, Raji models an invitational approach to cultural representation, like a local festival that a visitor stumbles upon by accident. The visitor may inquire what the festival is called, what meanings its rituals and symbols contain, yet the festival does not exist for or cater to the visitor. Rather, it invites the visitor to see through the subjectivity of another community. Raji earned widespread praise for its visual aesthetics, architectural design, and cultural representation. Growing up, Raji's developers never saw a video game feature India's stories and culture, compelling them to create what they never had. Developer Avachal Singh selected Rajasthan, a region in northwest India with an ancient history, as Raji's unifying premise in every aspect of its aesthetics and narrative. Raji's most striking and acclaimed virtues are its architecture and visual aesthetics. Game settings include replicas of real-world locations, further enriching Raji's cultural connection. Especially noteworthy is Vishnu's temple, resplendent with floating lotuses and waterfalls. Eurogamer reports, Raji is transporting. This game gave me a window into another culture, and I want to know more. Raji musically encodes Rajasthan through homage to the Bhopa, migrant singer priests hailing from the region. Historically considered part of India's lowest caste, Bhopa are prohibited from standard employment and subsist as itinerant musicians and storytellers, nurturing society's spirit through music and narrative. Because nomadic Rajasthani communities could not consistently visit temples, a mobile temple visited them. A traveling Bhopa carries a par, a long painted cloth scroll depicting the Pa-Buji epic, and sings its stories over 5 nights from dusk to dawn. Bhopa rhythms, melodies, lyrics, and instruments are musical manifestations of the par. Though the text remains the same, the melodies and styles used vary widely. Every Bhopa performance is unique to the performer and the occasion. In Raji's soundtrack, Bhopa culture is signified by the Ravanhata, a signature instrument of Bhopa music. The Bhopa self-accompany their singing with the Ravanhata, typically with bells affixed to the bow to provide a rhythmic dimension to the sound. This highly resonant bowed instrument is not sold commercially and is near extinction. Its existence is a surprise, even for Indian people. What follows draws on my correspondence with Raji composer Linos Tselos. Tselos received the Ravanhata heard in Raji from a close friend who visited Rajasthan, and he sojourned to meet the Bhopa artist Kistur, who handcrafted it. For 20 days in the Pushkar desert under the tutelage of Kistur, Tselos studied Ravanhata technique and Bhopa music. Years later, when asked to compose a musical representation of Rajasthan, Tselos's pilgrimage provided the ideal creative conduit. Compositionally, Raji's tracks are based on Bhopa melodies and rhythms. Though Bhopa melodies are bright and jovial, in what we might consider an Ionian or Lydian mode, Tselos adapted them to Locrian or Phrygian mode to create an intense atmosphere suitable for combat. Just as Bhopa musicians improvised par performances, improvisation was key for the soundtrack's Ravanhata, sitar, and percussion. Analysis of 2 case studies demonstrates the integration of Bhopa aesthetics and style in Raji's music. Vishnu's temple is widely considered a highlight of the game for its visual aesthetics, and its music is equally compelling. Hiranyanagari features sitar on melody, which Tselos acquired and began learning on a second trip to India. A striking 2-measure kalimba ostinato repeats through nearly the entire 8-minute track. This is based on Tselos's experience in Brahma's temple, where a metallophone arpeggio underscored the whole 3-hour ceremony as a foundation for vocal or instrumental improvisation. This idea is replicated at piece's end, when the kalimba loop supports Tselos's improvisation on Ravanhata over percussion. As Raji traverses Vishnu's temple, players are immersed in a musical experience parallel to Tselos's in Brahma's temple, transported through the composer's sonic memory. Heard in Raji's penultimate level, Mystic's Realm is the composer's favorite, as it combines every instrument, technique, and aesthetic feature used thus far. Its percussion accompaniment and sitar, ravanhata, or violin melody constantly influence each other, as if channeling a Bopa family's par performance. This improvisatory tone is reinforced using a Locrian mode that Kistor loved improvising over. The Q's melody is Kistor's composition dedicated to his wife, who was ill with typhus, set in a melancholy Phrygian mode instead of the Bopa's typical celebratory sound. For Kistor, this unusual choice musically translated his call to the stars for guidance and healing. Telos places this melody in a moment when Raji seeks physical and psychological healing. The player's narrative experience corresponds to Kistor's semiotic intentions. In Raji's soundtrack, Telos encoded Bopa passion for improvisation and expression, his pedagogical relationship with Kistor, and experience of Rajasthani religious ritual. Telos' musical fusion of the sacred and cultural is an ideal semiotic fit, for in India, religion and culture are inseparable. Raji's narrative themes and semiotic meanings reinforce the spiritual, even devotional, scope of the game. Let's consider darshan, meaning seeing, a primary practice of Hindu spirituality. As Diana Eck writes, the central act of Hindu worship is to see and be seen by the deity. To a greater degree than most religious practitioners, Hindus embrace digital media and incorporate them into devotional praxis. For example, viewing films featuring deities also constitutes darshan, suggesting a natural extension to video games. As an interactive media text, Raji's invitational approach beckons players to experience Hindu religious traditions firsthand, exemplifying darshan for the digital era. Released during the global COVID-19 pandemic, Raji offered players exactly the transportive, horizon-expanding experience prohibited in real life. And for players of Indian descent, this landmark holds special significance. It's the first time I've seen a piece of my world in a video game, reports Polygon's Preeti Cheeber, and now all I want is more. Like a Bopa singing through a digitized par, Raji invites audiences into a robust celebration of India's art, music, and spirituality. Or in Telos' words, the music of Raji is the par he carries from the Bopa to the world.